Hey guys, my name is Dodd. I talk about all things dentistry, and today we're going to talk about deep cleaning or scaling a root plane. So what I was going to go over is pretty much you go to the dentist, it hasn't been a while, and you're getting your assessment. They look at your teeth and tell you, oh, it's been a long while and you need a deep cleaning. So what's the deep cleaning? Okay, first off, it's going to cost a lot more and it involves a lot more work. So it's not just like a quick 1 hour thing. They're going to take full set of x-rays. They're going to measure your gums. That's all the assessment part of it. And then the deep cleaning, they can do it in 1 appointment, 2 appointments. Most insurances won't cover it in 2 appointments, or in 1 appointment. They'll have to be divided into halves, and then you get anesthetized, and then they go in and they do a deep cleaning in there. Now, what I'm going to tell you is kind of go over the process of how you end up needing a deep cleaning. And that's kind of like, when you think about your home, if you've had, let's say if you have a car or house that has been cleaned regularly, then when you're cleaning, it's not as much work. If it hasn't been cleaned for a long time, then it's a lot more work. So that means a lot more in-depth and things. So that's pretty much the same process. If you haven't had your teeth cleaned in a long while, the buildup, the deposit, it gets a little bit built up in there and actually starts to migrate down under the gums. And as it migrates under the gums, we can't really get in there to do it. So it involves a lot more work on our side trying to get in there without like ripping your gums apart. There is an easier way, it still costs money, but they just basically open your gums and then they flap it and then they can clean it. However, what a hygienist does with a deep cleaning is that they basically divide your mouth in halves. They'll go anesthetize it, they'll go under the gums with their instruments, and they'll kind of clean that area out. And that process takes a long while. So how to avoid it? The best way to avoid it is go see a dentist regularly, once a year. Even if you don't feel like, you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna need, just go once a year. It makes life a lot easier. Now, what you're going to do as far as make sure not to have a deep cleaning, besides going every year, make sure you brush and floss. Flossing is so important. I don't think people understand how important flossing is. If I had to choose between one or the other, I would say probably flossing is almost as important for brushing, if not more. If you're lazy about flossing, that's fine. Do a water flosser. If you don't like the water floss, do the floss picks. If you don't like floss picks, get a string of, your hair or paper or something to get in there. It just needs stimulation to get the stuff out. So, people can be really picky about, oh, I need you to floss. Make sure you make a C and go under. As long as you get something in there, it's great. Now, why your gums bleed and things? Your gums are like tissue. When you kind of rub it, it hurts and things like that. It's the same concept. When you've got something underneath there, it starts to get inflamed, puffy, red, swollen. So once that happens, then you're going to need, there's bacteria in there. It needs to be killed and kind of taken out. So that's what I would suggest for you guys. If you need to have your, if you've got a deep buildup and things like that, it just needs to be taken out. It's like almost like a splinter. So once that's underneath there, and in the picture I'll show you guys, but once it's in there, they'll go underneath it and they'll scrape it off. Now, somebody's asked me, they're like, oh, with all the scraping you do, are you causing scratches on my teeth? I mean, is that going to cause problems and things? No, I mean, we go to school, get trained, so we don't cause scratches. And it's kind of like, I usually tell people, if you feel like, if you put a glue on a piece of glass, how do you get it off? You get a little something sharp, you go underneath it and you flake it off. That's pretty much what we do. It doesn't cause any sort of scratch on that glass. It just flakes the stuff off. So it's tedious, it's time consuming. Sometimes it feels like we're really digging because that sucker is pretty hard and tough, but that's really what we end up doing. If they're using a little gadget that shoots a lot of water, makes a little vibration, it's kind of like a fancy it's a fancy jackhammer. It's a very delicate jackhammer. Basically what it does is the tip of that vibration, it's hitting the teeth and it's breaking the debris. So that vibration, it's the vibration of that breaking the debris, and the water kind of keeps that tip cool because it's vibrating like 20 times per second or 20,000 times per second or something like that. So that's pretty much the difference between, your teeth getting clean. Now, when they're doing a healthy cleaning, it's so much easier. With a healthy cleaning, let's say if we're cleaning your teeth healthy, we're really not going under the gums. We're only maybe about a 1 millimeter depth underneath your gums. So we're just kind of cleaning, taking off any sort of major stains and things like that. If it gets under the gums, then you get into that secondary thing where it becomes a deep cleaning and so forth. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Oh, fun fact for you. Generally on the bottom teeth, that's what it tends to build the most. And then on the top molar teeth, the first molars on the buccal side, which is the cheek side, tends to build more. Why? Well, gravity. So your spit tends to be mostly on the bottom. And then underneath the front teeth, you have under your tongue, there's a major saliva gland. So that secretes it and that causes the buildup to build more. And then on your cheeks, you've got your parotid gland, which causes secretion and it causes it to build up more. So those are like 2, 3, if you're counting the 2 sides and underneath it, that's the main area that tends to build up. So if you have any other questions, feel free, leave a little comment or message and I'll be sure to answer that. Have a good one.